Transmigrated as a disabled protagonist, how should I continue the script? Chapter 30, The System's Rewards. A plain, unremarkable clinic. From the port mafia boss, transformed into a barefoot doctor, Mori Ogai spoke with a strange expression. This is the result of your busy efforts these past few days. He pointed to Nakahara Chuya and Rokudo Mukuro, who were both lying on the hospital bed, injected with medication and not yet awake. Yakimaru, who wasn't among the two, sat by Nakahara Chuya's bedside, absent-mindedly poking at him with his finger. Mori-san, you can't just sit there and talk so casually. I caught both the Sheep King from Suribachi Street and the Illusionist from Italy, exceeding your expectations. Dazai Osamu exposed the deceit of adults, pointing out that Mori Ogai's rise to power after opposing the Sheep King was like a tiger stalking its prey. Now, things have gotten better, and another illusionist has been added, like a buy one get three free deal. Chiyakuen is the one I want. Mori Ogai bluntly said, and, with frustration, added, but this illusionist. You all made such a big scene that it's impossible to deceive the Vongala family in Yokohama. Even if I trade Vongala's intelligence member, Futa, it's still difficult to keep Rokudo-kun. Dazai Osamu sat on the chair, expressionless as he stared at Yakimaru, who was dazedly poking at Nakahara Chuya. And Nakahara Chuya, who had been unconscious after being treated by Yosano Akiko, remained completely unaware of the outside world. So, one large and one small openly discussed the issue of human traffickers. The port mafia won't be able to hold on to Rokudo Mukuro? Dazai Osamu showed no concern for Nakahara Chuya's outcome. Mori-san wouldn't let a free labor source slip away, so he paid more attention to the Rokudo Mukuro who could help Yakimaru. I've seen his abilities, he's quite resourceful. Whether it's saving lives or killing people, it's equally easy for him. Rokudo-kun hates the mafia. Mori Ogai sighed, troubled by the human experimentation that caused this issue. Mori Ogai, knowing that Dazai Osamu had the idea to use Rokudo Mukuro as a premise, casually asked. Dazai-kun, do you know about the Vindichi prison? What is that? Dazai Osamu was intrigued by the unfamiliar term. Mori Ogai said, it's a prison established 100 years ago, notorious across the world. They specialize in imprisoning those who are detrimental to the mafia, as well as criminals who violate the rules between the mafia factions. If our secret schemes are exposed to them, the Vindichi will not let the two of us go. Taking advantage of schemes or the method of assassinating a boss to climb to the top is clearly a behavior that undermines the mafia's system of succession. Dazai Osamu, pfft. Mori Ogai looked at him helplessly. Dazai Osamu is someone who is barefoot and unafraid of stepping on glass, unlike himself. He changed the subject. After I inquired with the intelligence dealers over in Italy, I found out that Rokudo-kun and his companions are fugitives. Keeping them would be equivalent to making enemies of the Vindichi prison. Dazai Osamu replied, sounds like the security isn't that strict. Mori Ogai nodded and smiled as he looked at the game-over state of Rokudo Mukuro on the hospital bed. This proves how difficult the illusionist is to deal with. I think it's hard to hold him down. It's better to offer some goodwill and settle things. Dazai Osamu curled his lips. You're afraid he'll turn around and go after the port mafia, aren't you? Afraid, indeed. Mori Ogai answered without dignity, looking dejected. Illusionists are all skilled at sowing discord and mental illusions. The port mafia is still not entirely under my control. If we face some internal conflict and someone takes the chance to strike, it's over. Even the Vongala family would laugh at us, calling us a rural mafia. Don't even mention Italy, even for the Tokyo area, Yokohama is certainly rural. Dazai-kun. I hope you know that criticizing someone's home isn't a good behavior. Alright. Mori-san is the boss of the rural mafia, and I, along with Yakimaru, are just kids Mori-san picked up. Dazai Osamu found an unfinished candy from Elise and threw it at Yakimaru's head. For you staring at Chuya. I'm right here, Yakimaru. Yakimaru, his head hit by candy, turned back half a beat slower, his expression blank. The illusion restored his 14-year-old face, which in any world would be recognized as exceptionally beautiful, impossible to blend into a sea of people. He seemed like someone who had endured much suffering yet had forgotten how to express it, his resilience stirring pity. Why are you unhappy? Dazai Osamu's ability to grasp emotions had greatly improved, and in a few steps, he was standing opposite of Chiya's bed. Yakimaru, frustrated and anxious, reached out again to poke the boy's face with his fingers. Where is my body part? Nakahara Chiya lying on the bed. Didn't I defeat the demon god? How did the demon god swallow my body part and not spit it out? Nakahara Chiya's face starting to swell. The system said I succeeded in defeating it. Nakahara Chiya's face now fully swollen. Give it back to me, it's useless for you to eat it. Once I get my body part, I won't bother you anymore. Even in his sleep, Nakahara Chiya could feel his face hurting. Help! How did I end up with a monster that loves poking people's faces? Regarding Nakahara Chiya's predicament, Dazai Osamu couldn't muster a smile. He could clearly sense that Yakimaru's emotions were becoming unstable. Previously, even though Yakimaru couldn't feel tactile sensations, he would never use such excessive force. Dazai Osamu was unable to break into Yakimaru's emotional loop and began to think deeply. What to do now? Mori Ogai used his hand to stop Yakimaru. Yaki-kun, calm down a bit, you've swollen Chiya-kun's face. For the first time, Yakimaru didn't violently resist this person, and he looked at him blankly. Dororo's father. Mori Ogai spoke calmly, having lost everything, what else would you fear losing? You've endured the worst, so you should have learned to rationally face what's happening in front of you. The middle-aged man in a white coat grabbed his hand and placed it in Dazai Osamu's hand, which was lying by the bed. Dazai-kun, what he needs is not appearance or voice. In that instant, a ghost awe. Yet, it was precisely this handhold that allowed Yakimaru's crumbling heart to find a bit of support. He didn't understand why the system agreed that the demon god is subdue, yet he still couldn't retrieve his body parts. 14 years of longing instantly turned into failure, a feeling more disorienting and terrifying than the sudden taste of a tongue. Dororo, how did the plot turn out like this? Do I have to kill this person to regain my body parts? But how could I possibly murder an innocent person? If I take action, would I still be the protagonist who saves the world as part of my mission? Is my mission real or fake? Was my entire process of subduing the demon god just an illusion? From doubting the world to doubting himself, Yakimaru had no way out, except for holding on to this person, who was genuinely real, and by his side, Dororo would be his companion. Dazai Osamu, having been schemed against by Mori Ogai, twitched the corners of his mouth but ultimately still returned Yakimaru. What ridiculous thoughts are you having? With him around, even Arahabaki would find it hard to escape death. Dororo. Dazai Osamu interlaced his fingers and responded, This fool, only able to understand such a simple yet embarrassing answer, had to let him be teased by Mori-san. Let him laugh if he wants to. Yakimaru's defenses were immediately shattered. He whispered hoarsely, his breathing rapid, and his face trembled slightly, losing its composure. Dazai Osamu quietly observed this shattered fragment. After Yakimaru lost his tongue, even a single Dororo could no longer be spoken. They resembled primitive humans, awkwardly conveying their emotions. It felt like a miracle. After being restlessly poked in the spiritual realm by Yakimaru countless times, after losing the ability to function normally, and, like a fake, the support system finally threw out a pop-up. The originally empty inbox now contained a system-automated reward. The package speaks. System reward, compensation for missed plot development. If an important plot in the storyline is accidentally missed, and it's not the fault of the character playing the role, the support system will provide a compensation reward after pushing forward the main storyline task. In other words, it gives the intern a chance to correct the mistake. Chapter 30 End.